So I noticed it's been a while since I've actually just sit here and talked about something, so I'm going to do that today. First of all, hello everyone. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Dead Space. Dead Space, a game that is really grotesque, or well, it used to be. The first one recently got remastered, and there's a lot of mixed signals about it. Some people hailing it, saying it's one of the best remasters or remakes they've ever played. Others saying that it betrays the original due to the fact that it adds in some new stuff that shouldn't really be there. So, I'm going to give you my opinion on it because I think both arguments, after doing some research on it, are both fucking stupid. Given the fact that this is the first game. Alright, let's just get into it before people start, doing what they usually do, busting their PCs up when somebody doesn't disagree. Great start.
Pathetic.
So, the Dead Space remake has came out, and it's already become a very polarizing game, due to some changes that were made. First of all, let's talk about the biggest change, or one of the biggest changes to this game, which is they added in Isaac Clarke. You're probably wondering, but Isaac Clarke has always been a part of the Dead Space game. Let me finish. They forgot what he looked like, and they made him look like Adam Sandler. Now, a lot of people don't really see that resemblance, and honestly, I don't really see it either. I just think it's great. It's a funny joke. It's just Adam Sandler in Dead Space. Like, for real, but no. There's also a few things that were added in the form of trigger warnings in a horror game, such as telling you when there's a jump scare coming up, and like if there's graphic audio tapes in the game, which obviously there is. It's a Dead Space game. And a lot of people have taken issue with this, saying that, like, why are you putting this in a horror game? You know, it's almost like putting aimbot pre-made in a first-person shooter. It doesn't really make sense. However, I said at the start of this that both sides are wrong, and I'll say why in just a second. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, Simp, what's the issue? Well, I'll tell you. The issue with this is that, in typical EA fashion, they added trigger warnings and shit to the wrong game. Because you see, Dead Space 1 is very mild compared to the second game. Here is, well, actually, the trailer for the second game. This is my whole bit on why you'll see.
You're in terrible danger.
While I sympathise with the people complaining about the trigger warnings and all that, you have to remember that Dead Space 2, it was literally about Isaac going through schizophrenia, dementia, self-harm, etc. But they put the trigger warnings in the first remake. You can kind of see where I'm going with this here. It's stupid to put them in the first game, because out of all of them, the first game is the most milder out of the two, or three. And if we're being completely honest here, this kind of worries me, because what's going to happen in the second remake if they do that? Are they going to take out some things? Which is going to be bullshit. You should be complaining about that. Now, however, the other side that are saying, like, well, it's a horror game and some people might not be able to handle it. Well, maybe you shouldn't play horror games, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Because they weren't made for you. And I understand that everybody wants to feel included, but there's some things that you just cannot do. But, like, I don't know. I just feel like some people are being a bit silly about it. However, I understand both arguments. I do think they're both stupid once you compare hairs. And honestly, I think we should be a bit more happy about this, because that we're getting more Dead Space content. Personally, I would have preferred if they just did a new one. However, a remastered is a good step in the right direction. We could end up with a sequel. We never know. If they remaster 2 and 3, which would be much appreciated, that would be awesome too. But they need to stay faithful to the original source material. because we could end up with a situation where Dead Space 2 could end up being gutted and it could just be a shell of its former self. You must stay true to the source material. In other gaming news, that's pretty much it. Because honestly, I feel like the whole argument about Dead Space is very polarizing, because it's a horror game, and if you're scared of horror games, you should probably not play them. And putting in trigger warnings, come on, EA, come on, you could do better than that. But no, I think we should be more concerned about the future, because if they remake Dead Space 2, we could be in a bad situation. And yeah, that's the main point that we should all take away from this. Complain about it if you wish. I'm not going to stifle you on that. You have a right to complain if you do not like it. But at the same time, remember that there's worse things that could come of this. I'll give y'all a quick example. Because we're talking about EA, they could quite easily and quite literally just turn around and say for Dead Space 2 Remake, if they choose to do it, that, DLC out the wazoo. Because they done that last time and there's nothing stopping them from doing that. And one of the theories that I had for the censors is that, remember the censors as in the warnings that pop up, is that would EA put ads in there? Cause it's EA we're talking about. But no. All jokes aside, you gotta remember that while it's a good one, you have to kind of push back a bit. Because you don't want EA getting too carried away. Because they have a tendency of doing that sometimes. But no. Overall, the Dead Space remake, if you like the updated graphics, if you like a new version of the game, then go for it, go and get it. But if the whole thing about censoring it and making it, as people like to put it, woke is a bit too much for you, then don't skip out on it, just get the originals. I would highly recommend that for you. But no, overall, it's a good looking game. I think the developers did a really good job on it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. So I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, this has been my rant, I guess you could say. Bye-bye.